Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Theta Healing ThetaTalks. I am Maisha, and today we're going to talk about manifesting. So, the last few episodes, we spoke about our Theta Healing superpowers. And so we thought that manifesting deserves a topic of its own. So today we're talking about manifesting and how it is different from manifesting in other types of ways. There are so many ways to manifest.
Hi.
Hey,
Okay, we're back. Okay. There
we're
we go. I
having
think we should be good.
we're having all these like restarts, which is kind of like life, right? Even if you mess up the first
Huh?
time, you can restart and you can pick up, and even if it doesn't work the next time, you can pick up all over again. So that's like us.
Yes.
Our Instagram lives were just ending twice in a row, and hopefully now it's going to be working for us. So that's life. So we're talking today about the power of manifestation. I'm sure you already introduced it, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So you were going to tell us a story, Maisha, about like manifestation and theta healing and what that was like for you.
I was saying that, I always heard about, the law of attraction through The Secret, whatever you think about, you attract in your reality. And I was always kind of, I really believed in that. However, things weren't really showing up as quickly or as the way that I wanted.
Okay.
And it is only when I learned about manifesting in theta that I could see changes and shifts happening very quickly.
Yeah.
So, I think some of us get a little bit confused because we think, okay, The Secret, just think about it and it'll show up in your life. But there are other elements to it as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what comes to mind for me when it comes to manifestation and theta healing was, I reflect back to like, I took the first theta healing class, which was basic DNA, then the second one, which was advanced DNA. And at that time, so about 15 or more years ago, the third class was called Manifesting in Abundance. Today,
Yes.
our third class is Dig Deeper, but back then it was actually called Manifesting in Abundance. And so it was this 2 day class just on manifesting. And I remember one of the first things we were taught, we learned, is that when you manifest in a theta brainwave, you're 80 to 90% more likely to be able to successfully manifest. So the theta brainwave is a deeper brainwave than, let's say, an alpha. And a lot of times when we meditate, or we do many different kinds of healing techniques, guided meditations, energy healing. A lot of times we tend to stay in an alpha brainwave,
All right.
which is a very powerful way for healing, but not necessarily for future readings, manifestations, being able to connect to masters and guides. Those sometimes require deeper brain waves or slower brain waves. And so if you can hold an eyes open or even eyes closed, but a conscious theta brainwave state, which is usually the state you're in when you're asleep. So when we say a theta healer can hold a conscious theta brainwave, right? It means that the same brainwave that we normally are asleep in, we can be conscious, and therefore we are deep in the subconscious. So when we use that brainwave for manifestation, it seems to be 80 to 90% more successful than a regular manifestation. So that was the first thing that I learned, which really just blew my mind. Like, really? Can that be true? So, of course, I tested it out, and especially in the beginning, I remember making manifestation lists and, doing the work we were trained to do to clear our blocks. And it taught me a lot of things about manifestation, specifically that we can't manifest what we don't think we deserve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't think we deserve something, or it's too much for us, or we're not worthy of it, we can't manifest it. And that's
Yeah.
where theta healing belief work removes these negative, faulty beliefs that we don't deserve something, we're not good enough, it's not possible. And those are sometimes the things that keep our manifestations from really coming into our life.
Yeah.
I've noticed that the more blocks I clear, the more resentment I release, the more forgiveness I do, and ultimately the more beliefs, the more negative programs and beliefs that I clear, the quicker my manifestations appear. Almost as quickly as, and I'm sharing an actual experience where I was in a class teaching, and I said to myself, I am craving an apple right now. Like, I really want an apple. And this was at my well-being center in Bonifacio Global City at that time, at our well-being center. And I remember thinking, I really want an apple. And one of my students walks into the class and says to me, Sanaiyah, I brought an apple for you today. And literally it was like from my thought to the physical apple was like a couple of seconds, and that's how quick theta manifestations have in fact showed up in my life repeatedly.
Mm.
So I do feel that, when your mindset, your beliefs are aligned with what you want to manifest and create, you will get it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's also about being clear about what you want. I had a client who said, Maisha, I want to manifest a Lamborghini, right? And I was like, okay, so what would you do? Imagine if you had one. And we kind of went into a little bit of that. And then I said, okay, if you had that money to buy the Lamborghini in your bank account, would you do it? And he's like, no. So he wants to just be able to afford a Lamborghini, right? Because that means I have a lot of money, but he doesn't really want that Lamborghini. So sometimes also we're not really very clear about what we want. And data healing can really also help you get very clear about what you want to manifest, right? And sometimes we get on the bandwagon, oh, everybody has this, so I want this, but do you really want it?
Right.
Right? And you just put it on your list, and then you don't get it, and you're like, why don't I get it and everybody else excuse me, why does everybody else have it and I don't? And it's because, is that what you really want? So I think um, another benefit about manifesting in a theta state is you get very clear about what you want to manifest in your
Agreed.
life,
Agreed.
So
And that reminds me of two things. So on one hand, I do think manifestation is hugely correlated to what we think we deserve. And will
yes.
never, you'll never attract what you think you don't deserve. So even if I want to manifest a Lamborghini, right? And I don't think I deserve that kind of a car, because maybe I'm not a good driver, or maybe only certain type of people can drive Lamborghinis, or whatever it is, right? If I don't think I deserve it, right, I won't be able to attract it into my life. So I think that's a really big thing that I've seen over and over again. But then I also remember a story. Excuse me. I remember a story from the manifestation class. You'll remember this, Maisha, because we both teach this, right? I'm sure you teach this in your class as well. We have lots of different stories that we can share, but this one in particular, I remember, is about one of the clients. I think Vienna talks about this in her book, and how she's working with this client, this man, and he's been building a house for a while, but the house has been taking too long to complete. There's delays and issues, and essentially he's not able to kind of finish this house. So he comes in to see Viana, the founder of Theta Healing, the author of all the books, and she's the one who has really taught all the Theta Healing classes and brought it to us. But anyways, she is working with this guy, and he's talking about how this house doesn't seem to be getting to the finish line. There's always delays and issues and problems. So Vienna starts asking questions about, well, what would happen if the house did get finished? And so he says, yeah, if the house is completed, then me and my family would move into the house. And then she continues to ask question, and then what would happen, and then what would happen, which we call in theta healing the digging process, right? And as she's asking these questions, suddenly this man responds to Bayana and says,
His face
but then my
changes.
his
His
face,
face
yeah,
changes.
yeah, he's like,
His
he
expression is
suddenly,
like, oh,
yeah, he suddenly realizes something really alarming, and his face like gets like this shock, and he's like, but if the house is finished and we all move in, then my mother-in-law will come and move in with us as well. And it's like he's like in this like, what? He realizes this. And Bayana says, well, what would happen if that would happen? And he's like, well, I don't want her to move in. I don't
and
want my mother-in-law.
and she says, do you want me to teach you to say no? That it's okay to say no,
Yeah. But
right?
before we say that part, so I just want to really emphasize the point that the reason why the house was not finishing, because deep down inside,
He
secretly,
was
he was
blocking
worried,
it.
right? He was
Hmm.
worried that if the house is finished, then him and his wife and his children move in, and then because the house is so big and so beautiful, now his mother-in-law will want to come in, and him and his mother-in-law don't get along, and he doesn't want her in the house. So therefore, he's blocking the house from reaching completion because subconsciously he's more afraid that he's going to have to deal with his mother-in-law
Yeah,
24/7 who's living in this house, right? And that was the block, right?
yeah.
That's why subconsciously he was creating the block to the manifestation of this house that he wanted, to be built and completed.
Because
So the
our
lesson in that,
minds are way ahead of us, right? It
right?
knows what could potentially happen, and it knows that, it's trying to keep you safe. So it knows, no, wait, you shouldn't have that built so quickly.
Right. And our mind is so smart that if it has already experienced pain previously in that situation, right, it will devise all these ways to keep you away from the pain.
Yes.
So
It
obviously,
wants you to
this,
be happy. Your
right.
mind wants you to be happy.
So the subconscious mind, which is so smart, has figured out that every time he sees his mother-in-law, right, or he's around his mother-in-law, he's uncomfortable, he's in pain, like pain as in he's uncomfortable, he's not happy, it's stressful. So his subconscious mind says, well, we better make sure we delay this house so we can avoid the potential discomfort and pain and conflict that will come when she moves in. Because
Yeah.
of course she's going to want to move into the new house where her daughter is staying, something like that. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of highlight with that story is that most of the time, if we aren't getting what we want, we're usually the ones blocking it
Yeah.
because we have associated something uncomfortable, undesirable, some kind of pain, some kind of challenge, something on some level we are trying to protect ourselves from or avoid. And it's not necessarily, we don't consciously know we're doing that, but our subconscious mind is doing that for us. So the beautiful thing, right, Maisha, about theta healing is step one, we can identify what's the block, what's the reason the manifestation isn't happening. Then through theta healing, we can release all the blocks. And finally, we can go up and in a theta brainwave actually manifest for what we want to happen. It's pretty
Which
simple.
is where the 90%, comes in
Accuracy.
great value.
Yeah. The success rate of like 80 to 90% or accuracy is another way to put it, is it's really because if there is a block, we can identify it, we can release it, and then do the powerful manifestation. So absolutely. What would you say are things you've manifested in your life?
Well, I think for me it has been, I think abundance is something that I think I've worked on quite a bit in terms of manifesting, and I see it show up or have seen it shown up. But even like you said, little things that you just say and then it happens, or like I wanted a new car, and then my husband would say, "Hey, you know what? We should replace and get a different car," and it wasn't like um I it was in the back of my mind, and I didn't do a manifestation for it, but it showed up. And that's because when I cleared these blocks from me being able to manifest, it's not like I have to do it again and again and again. It's like now that it's cleared and it's open, things just tend to show up much more easier in
For
my life. So you don't have to keep manifesting again and again and again. Once you make clear that big block or realize that you are deserving, like you said, that things do show up in your life.
You know, it reminds me of a funny story. When this is like eons ago. Now we have like hybrid cars, right? Or like,
Mm,
we have electric cars. But back in the day, when our options were either gasoline based cars or you could get like a diesel car,
yeah.
right? So I remember that I was in a class. It was one of my classes, and I was doing a manifestation along with my students. And I remember there was something about how, what in my digging, and I was digging, like I was trying to like work. I was doing something about getting a new car, but I realized that I hate filling gas, right? Like I just
That
find it tedious to stand in line, to have to like, wait for my turn to then pump gas. And so it's just something I don't like to do. And that came up when I was working on, me wanting to manifest a certain car. And I remember thinking, oh, that's kind of a funny reason why I'm not manifesting a car, is because I really just don't like to fill gas. So anyway, when I found that belief, I cleared it. And the funniest thing happened is my husband surprised me. I actually didn't have any intention of buying a car or anything like that. But we were working on, I remember, Maisha, it was a Game of Life car. It was a
okay.
Game of Life class. It was a Game of Life class, which is also, we do a lot of manifestation work, right? And it was something to do with a car, it was some exercise. And I remember that I picked up that I don't like pumping gas. I don't like
Hmm.
waiting in turn to even get someone else to fill my gas. Like I just don't like it, right? And it came up in one of my diggings, so I released it. Now, it was like a month or two later was our anniversary. And for my anniversary gift, my husband surprised me with these car keys. And it turns out that he had bought a new car. He had bought us a new car. It was going to be my car. And the car he bought was a diesel car because that was the only one available. So he didn't intend to buy a diesel car, but that was the only one available in that model that he wanted. And a diesel car is more fuel efficient,
All
so
right.
you fill gas less
Less.
often. So that was the funniest thing, is I actually got a car that required me to have to fill gas
Less.
less frequently. And
Mm.
then we got a driver after that who, honestly, like, just it became part of his thing to be the one to fill gas. And I don't think I ever had to go get gas for my car ever again. It really was so funny, but it was a belief that I pulled that led me to that. And it was like I inadvertently manifested a car that was more fuel efficient, and then a driver who would do it for me. And finally, like, I never actually filled gas
It's like
after that. Honestly,
bonus. It's like, here's your bonus on
it's
top
just
of
so
that.
funny, right? How theta manifestation works. It's just really pretty amazing. But I mean, I have experienced the power of theta manifestations from the beginning, right? Even when I manifested my soulmate, I wrote a list of 50 traits and qualities that I
Yeah, I
wanted in my partner.
remember that.
And when I met my husband, within a week, I knew I was going to marry him. He proposed in a month. And then I got married, moved to Manila. And I remember when all my stuff came in, because it got shipped over. So like 6, 8 months later, all my stuff came in. I was unpacking, and I found the piece of paper, which I had folded up, which had the list of 50 things that I manifested, and that was like a year ago, right? A little over a year ago at that point, from the point I had done the manifestation to the point I, met him, got engaged, got married, and all that. And I took a pencil and I marked everything on my list. I literally checked off everything on my
And he
list.
had it
All 50.
all,
He had it
basically.
all. He had it all, and it was kind of
Mm.
so insane for me because that was very tangible, right? Because I actually physically I had a handwritten note of 50 things that I wanted. And some of them were really like tangible things, like, oh,
Like
I want to marry
that
somebody.
car,
Yeah,
a
like
red
the
car, I
car.
remember.
Yeah, and I wanted to manifest someone who had a swimming pool because I love to swim.
Mm.
And I wanted to manifest someone where there was like a huge walk-in closet because I'd never had one all my life. I'd lived in Japan and Dubai in apartments, so I never had like a massive walk-in closet. So I remember like I put down like all these things just because I didn't know what to put down after 10 or 12 good, like after 10, 15, 20 traits, you're like, okay, now what do I put down? And I
Now I
wanted to
start to
like
make
put,
up stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so I was putting stuff that didn't even really matter, but I got to
Mm.
50 and it was pretty insane where it was like, oh my God, every single thing on my list I checked off. So I've seen how powerful theta healing manifestation is. I use it to manifest the right employees, the right team.
Yeah.
I use it, to manifest the right coach and mentor, the right, I've used it to manifest the right nanny. I honestly use
Oh, yes,
theta
I use that
manifestation
all the time. Cook and nanny.
all the
Right?
time,
And
all the time.
I I remember that one big thing that I manifested was my son, after I had my daughter.
Mhm.
I wanted to experience having a boy, right? And so I had to clear beliefs and make sure that I'm coming from what we call a space of neutrality. And so when I did that, then I put in my manifestation in the theta brainwave, and it happened. So I got a boy after that. But I also manifested more relationships with more like friends type energy. And then my dog showed up, right? Ollie, who is also my best friend. So these are things that kind of showed up after I manifested them.
Yeah,
So it was
so
pretty cool.
So we use it, in other words, you and I and us theta healers, right? Like our tribe of theta healers. We use theta healing manifestations for every aspect of our life, whether that's attracting the right people to support us, whether it's physical things, opportunities, whatever physical, emotional, spiritual support that we need. We constantly use theta healing. And I definitely think and agree, actually, I definitely agree that theta healing manifestation is like something I have not seen in any other, in any other aspect of life is well, let me rephrase what I'm saying. I've never seen manifestation work as quickly and as powerfully as I've seen it work in theta healing. So absolutely, like it is definitely a huge, huge cornerstone of theta healing is this manifestation exercise and ability that we all learn and gain. Um, yeah. Anything
And then it
else you'd like?
becomes fun, like, and then it becomes fun, right? Like how, you end up like, once you can see and you know that you have this ability, then you start, enjoying that process and bringing more things in your life. And I think that is really the cool part of it. You just have to say, okay, you know what? I'll just manifest it versus people think, oh no, it's not possible. I think that's also very important point about theta healing is that nothing is a no. We can create things and bring things into our reality or manifest it, right? Because we don't have to accept no for an answer. It's just okay, we'll create it or we'll manifest it.
Yeah. I think I also use theta manifestation to manifest the right clients. Like I have the most amazing clients who are just so loving, respectful, kind, like just exactly the type of people I want to work with, people who really are doing the effort and are committed and dedicated to their personal growth. Like I manifest the clients that I want. I manifest where I want to live, or I manifest things like I always have a running manifestation list in my head. And a lot of times it's like I think something and then it happens.
Or places
So,
we want to travel to,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And it just sort of, it's like your mind is constantly creating exactly what you're thinking. And that is manifestation. But I do want to add another thing actually that we didn't talk about, Maisha, is like, why does manifestation work in some cases and not, and in other cases it doesn't. And I kind of wanted to talk about vibration because,
Mm.
right, like you have to be in the right vibration to manifest. And if you're in a state of gratitude, if you're in a state of appreciation, if you're in a state of love, compassion, these kinds of emotions create vibrations or frequencies that allow you to manifest very quickly. But if you're constantly like angry
Or in
and
a space of lack.
lack,
Yeah.
feeling like I don't have enough, or
Mm.
jealousy, envy, these kinds
Mm.
of different emotions tend to show up in your life, you tend to experience those quite a bit, then it's very hard to get your vibration high enough to manifest. Because it's like there's a manifestation wave that overlaps with gratitude, appreciation, abundance, kind of that mindset of just plenty, love, openness, all of that. And it's like staying up there allows you to manifest. But if you're kind of down there where you're constantly like in the state of lack, not enough, resentment, anger, then you can't even get to a
It's
wave
very
of, yeah.
heavy. Yeah, that energy is very
So
heavy.
nothing you manifest can get off the ground. So it's very important to stay in that higher vibration if you want to be a really good manifester. You want to be able to create what you want in your life. So I thought that was something really important for us to touch upon.
Cool.
Okay.
So you
All right.
have virtue
I
cards
have,
today?
yes, I have the virtue cards today. So I'm going to go ahead and pick one. Okay. And our card for today. Can you see it?
Uh, uh, tact. Oh, I think that ties in with clarity, right? In terms of, um, I feel that you have to really be very clear about what you want and the
Yep.
way you put it out there, which is the vibrational alignment, right? So there is a way to do things. Um, and if you are very clear and in alignment, right? And very tactful in terms of what you want to manifest, right? Because there's also a way to be that will give you more clarity in terms of what you want to
Yeah,
manifest.
I mean, how did you know
What's
that? Because that's what the virtue of tact is. I'm reading her book. It's like tact is the ability to express yourself in a caring and proper way. So it's like understanding how to communicate with others, knowing how to say it, what to say. It's an important gift. If tact has come into your cards, you are being told to ask for tact. Reconsider how you're expressing yourself over a problem or situation.
mm,
Clarity in your expression, respect for yourself and others are required. Tact in your life situations can now become easier. Clearly state what you believe as you have the clarity to see which situation you need to use it in.
awesome?
Very interesting. But I got it in reverse. So that's also interesting. Huh. Because if clarity, did I have it in reverse? I feel like I might have had it in reverse. So it says if tact is coming in reverse, you have overstated your opinion. Oh, maybe I'm over expressing. Could be too.
Mm.
Those are two ways to look at it. But I think what I'm tuning into for tact and this virtue for today is really just about how we say what we want, how we express it, how we do it with a sense of reverence and respect. It's not like, I want this and that's it. But, I want
Like
this because of,
demanding
yeah,
and
yeah.
entitlement energy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So how manifestation comes from that really high energy of respect, tactfulness, communication, expression, and so on. I think that kind of is what coming to me. Would you, do you resonate with that, Maisha?
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. So, on that note, we are coming to the end of our Theta Talks today. We will see you all next Tuesday.
Yes. And do we know the topic for next Tuesday?
Uh, Let us look that up because I know we kind of wrote down what we
Is it a
wanted to
group
talk about.
healing? Was it?
I'll take a look. So we inserted this manifestation episode unexpectedly, and it looks like, yes, group healing is up next. Good one,
Awesome.
Mike. So next Tuesday, that should be April 22. That would be next Tuesday, same time, 8:30 p.m. We will be talking about group
And
healings. And
we'll do one
we'll do one.
live, right?
Yeah. So if you've got anything, going on in your life, if you have some kind of physical, emotional issue, you can show up and we'll be sending you a group healing. So please do, um, please do show up and join us. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. Lots of love.